What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Kayak Fishing Weekly. It is so good to have you here. It is almost Christmas time, and I'm, just absolutely excited for that. I hope you guys have been enjoying this time and this cold weather. And listen, we've got a fun episode for you guys because I want you to do me a favor. I want you to picture this. You're learning how to fish, and not only are you learning how to fish, you're learning how to fish out of a kayak, handle growing on social media from all of your fishing adventures. And now you're tournament fishing and you're doing this in one of the best states in the country, but also one of the hardest to figure out. That's been our guest's journey in the last couple of years. And I'm excited to bring this person on. It's someone that I just have loved watching over the last couple of years as they grow in the fishing scene. You guys are in for an awesome episode, a little bit of juice and some fun topics. And guys, as always, I don't know where you're at. I don't know if you're going to work or maybe just getting off, but I hope you enjoy this and I hope we can bring some value to your day. Let's get right into it and let's bring our guest for today, Kylee Short. All right, everybody. I'm here with someone that I've just enjoyed watching I'd say really the last few years has been growing a lot in the kayak fishing scene, now the tournament scene, and just crushing it over on social media. We've got Kylee Short with us, Miss Bait Barbie, right?
Yeah, Bait Barbie is the name up
The
there. So
handle.
the
Uh,
handle,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, thank you so much for being here. And
of course.
I've gotten to know you through iCast and social media and other stuff, and it's been awesome just watching you do your thing and represent the state of Florida well, represent the kayak fishing community well. So thanks for being here, and I'm excited for everyone to listen to your story. And we were just joking; you've been like on every podcast lately. You're it right now.
Yeah, I was telling you that I think I'm in my podcast era a little bit because I had done none, and then I hopped on the first one, and then it's just been one after another. But I enjoy them. They're fun to me. I mean, I can't complain about sitting here and talking fishing for a dedicated hour or 2 hours. So
Yeah.
I'm in my element for sure. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very true. And so, as we get started and kind of get to learn more about you, um, you know, how did how did the name? I think I've heard this question asked, but I have to ask it myself too. And I know you get it a good bit. Where did you get the name Bait Barbie and why?
So I started on social media. It was just about 2 years ago, and it was right when the Barbie movie had come out. It was like all the craze. So when I was finally deciding I was just going to post my catches and my own journey learning to fish, I was just trying to think of something catchy. Barbie was just all around, so that's what I was thinking of, and trying to think of B things to name with it, bait, boat, and Bait Barbie was the first one I came up with, and it stuck. So I wasn't sure how much of myself personally I was wanting to put out there in public on social media, so it kind of
Right.
gave me a persona, I guess, on the
Yeah.
internet to go with that was catchy. So took it and ran with it. Now here we are.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I had that same question about like how much of me do I want to put out there right away. And I was never sure. So actually that is something that you have to think about. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people like the name. I like the name. It's catchy, creative, it works. But so for people that are maybe tuning in and they haven't heard of you yet, or they're not exactly who Kylee Short is. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who got you into this fishing addiction? Where it all started, and how you ended up in a little plastic boat.
Little plastic boat. So I only started fishing very recently. It was a passion that I found later in life. So my dad, he enjoys fishing a lot, and he fished when he could when I was growing up, and was more than happy to bring me along with those adventures. I was not really into it. It didn't really click for me. I went a handful of times growing up, but I was more just there for the energy and bringing the good vibes. I wasn't contributing to the fishing very much. But I moved to Florida 3 years ago from around where you're from, actually. But
Hmm.
I came here. My parents were living here, and my dad was fishing in a little pond. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go. I'll try this fishing thing again. And he was very patient with me and tying my knots and getting my tangles out and everything. And we caught a few bass that day. And something about the timing of it, I don't know if it was where I was in my life or it. totally clicked and I just fell in love with it. So I started going more and, he taught me some basics. And from there, I just wanted to learn everything that I could. So I was using the internet, all the resources that I had, YouTube University, as they like to call it, and just became a sponge, absorbing everything that I could know about bass fishing, trying and failing at a lot of different things. And I was hooked, so to speak. Like I should have been studying it in school. That's how much I was investing my free time into fishing. And I just grew a huge love for it. So that turned into posting that on social media, on TikTok. I was going live on my lunch breaks. I was just kind of showing myself fishing and learning and taking suggestions from people in the comments, and kind of built a platform there, expanded onto other platforms. That got me in touch with, a couple different brands and iCast, and put me in the space with some other people that are a part of the kayak fishing community that were encouraging me, and specifically more women, to get into some trails that were local to me here in Central Florida. And I took the leap. Now here we are. I'm loving every bit of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're actually pretty new to like, the hardcore fishing, cuz most of us, a lot of people have that story. My dad took me and either
Mhm.
they hated it or loved it or they kept going. So really, you've only been into it for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been very, very recent. I feel like I went at a very accelerated pace, and I'm, kind of grateful for the way that the opportunities have come in to allow me to keep growing and learn as much as I can in the short amount of time that I have. But even the kayak, I got that first kayak, I want to say September of last year. So it's been almost, a year and some change that I've
Yeah.
been kayak fishing. So I've just hit the ground running, but I've it's been tons of fun. Busy, but very fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I caught up with your story in the middle of all that, right? And so you you do a good job of like, because I've seen your videos. You do a good job of like breaking down your kayak setup, or like I've seen some of your YouTube, like you do YouTube as well, where like you're
Mhm.
talking about what you're throwing, what you're working. So that's really cool. Like kudos to you, because when I caught up with your story, I was like, oh, this girl, she's been doing this for a minute. Like she's been slinging chatterbaits for a few years now, or um, you know, kayak fishing for a while. So that's really cool to know. And shout out to your dad, like,
Yeah, for not
yeah.
giving up on letting me, join in on those adventures. I'm fortunate now, like I still live very close to them, so I get to fish with my dad a lot. And so even though I didn't take advantage of the time that I had doing that when I was younger, I'm so grateful that I get to do it now. I think too, it just is a good way to show other people, never too late to learn. If it's something you
Mhm.
are only now just interested in, now is the perfect time to start. Because I remember first coming into the space, and I felt like a lot of the women that I was around in the space had grown up fishing, and that was kind of their leg up
Mhm.
and being at the level that they're at. But I think that's great, and I would love for that to be the experience for a lot more women and girls coming up in the sport. But it doesn't have to be the only way for you to get involved. So just trying to, represent some folks that have found the sport of fishing a little later.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. I don't know if you ever feel this, like, do you ever feel like you're behind? Because sometimes I feel like I'm behind.
I do
Yeah.
often.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm here on Lake Lanier, and, I mean, us these guys, like, have grown up, either they grew up on bass boats or, like, fishing hardcore since they were young, like, and of course, I used to fish, the golf course pond, and
Mhm.
I loved it, but I did the same thing every time. I fished summers only, because, I had no idea you could fish in the winter.
Right.
I didn't know they would still eat. So, but yeah, sometimes I feel like so far
I
behind
do the
everyone
same.
else. Yeah.
But then you have to think according to who, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
realize that timeline, that pressure I'm putting on myself is really only coming from me.
Yeah.
There's not really, but it is hard when you feel like there's people that have been in the game a lot longer. But yeah, I feel like I'm playing catch up sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've got to admit, like, a lot of things for me didn't come naturally.
Mhm.
So, um, like for example, like the strategies and all that behind it, I'm just like, I'm a hard worker and scrappy. I've always told people that I'm not like the smartest on the water. I'm just super scrappy and I work really hard, but like I have some conversations with some of these guys in these tournament trails and I'm like, I would have never, did you have like and you can be completely honest, like if it came, did it come naturally to you or did you have like a big learning curve or how has that experience been for you in the last couple of years?
I think the heart for it came on its own, but no, the actual execution of being able to fish and fish well and learning it, no, I had to really put in the time and a lot of uh, failure, I guess, to learn. And I think being honest with myself about that has helped me now to be able to accept that. I feel confident in a lot of areas of fishing. I'm still not in a lot. And I think being able to accept that and embrace that and know that I still have time to tackle other different methods of fishing and styles of fishing that I just haven't scratched the surface of yet has allowed me to be more comfortable with not having mastered it all. There's new baits and stuff that come across we'll never master it all, and just accepting that helps. But I definitely feel like a lot of it was a learning curve. Even more recently with like different styles of fishing, I really had to force myself to continue throwing and getting used to, even though I did not like it. I was not being successful with it until I could figure it out. It was just pushing myself outside of that comfort zone a little bit because a lot of it did not come naturally at all. I watch videos sometimes now of my older stuff and I'm like, I don't know how I caught that fish. Who set the
Yeah.
hook? Because I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that back then. I was doing wacky rig videos, showing people how to throw a wacky rig using a circle hook.
Yeah.
But you learn as you go.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that. I was watching my very first YouTube videos the other day, and then I hopped on the phone with one of my best friends and I said, "Dude," I was like, Why are you not my friend?" I was like, "Why didn't you tell me that for an entire year I didn't set the hook for an
Hmm.
entire year?" I'm like, and I'm watching my videos in pain, like screaming
I
at the screen, like,
know.
"What are you doing?"
I want to be
So
like, delete, delete. I don't
yeah,
want this
yeah,
evidence up here,
yeah,
but
rough, but it is cool. I guess that's the cool part about sharing your journey and your content. You get to go back and see like all that growth, and there may be some beginners listening to us right now and they may be struggling. Like,
mhm,
tell us a little bit about, because I feel, what's the best way to say this? I feel like you have a lot of things that in the last 2 years you've had to grow through, like number one, fishing itself, kayak fishing, social media, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but being a woman in the sport as well, which can have its own challenges. So tell us a little bit, for those that are just starting out, like where's your confidence meter been through all this? Like, what's it been like mentally for you on the water?
I think I have, when people talk about imposter syndrome, that has been
Yes.
something that I struggle with a lot,
Yeah.
even still. And I
Yeah.
I think it's on the water, I feel like I have a lot of confidence. I feel like I got to a point where I was fishing from ponds. I was pond hopping, I've been beating the bank. That's how I learned how to fish. So confident in that area. So I felt like taking that next step into kayaking, I would be able to translate all of that directly, and it's very different. And I had to kind of eat that shift of knowing that okay, this is a whole different ball game. I was kind of unprepared for and not expecting to have such a struggle with so much. So I think it's building every time, every event that I do. I feel like I walk away learning something. The confidence this year in this season has been a lot better than how I felt last season. I think that just comes with more time on the water. So I think some half of it is like fake it till you make it. And then
Hmm.
another part of it is just you really do learn by doing and you feel better by doing. And as much time as I put in, I feel like I start to feel better and more accepting of the fact like, okay, yes, I'm absolutely should be here and can do this and can do it well and have a place. So
Yeah. Do you think I've heard this saying a lot, but do you think that every angler just they've got to get their teeth kicked in at some point and go
oh,
through?
you have to. It will
Yeah.
humble you in the worst of ways. But I felt I feel refreshed by that. I can think of like the first times I was struggling in some of the first events that I did. Naturally, I'm on these big bodies of water I've never been on before, and I'm normally fishing from, smaller ponds that I can access every bit of the water. It was totally different. And I'm looking up to these people who just win and they win and they win and they win and like they're constantly doing well. So when I'm at the bottom of the leaderboard, I'm kind of beating myself up in those ways. But I'll never forget one of the events that I fished with in the Florida Kayak Bass Trail. If you know Chris Mitchell,
Yeah.
he like bombed. Like he had such like a bad event. I want to say like maybe he caught one or none. And I remember he posted about it and kind of did a breakdown on it. And I was like, I needed to see it so bad because I feel like no matter who you are, there's no escaping the fact that there's going to be misses. There's going to be times when you don't perform well. No matter what you do, doesn't matter how long you've been in it, doesn't matter what you know. And that was so refreshing for me to see. I was like, I appreciate you posting this. I needed to see that this
Yeah.
is just something that we all experience. So I think nobody's safe from it. It happens to the best of us. I think that's why the best become the best because they've had to deal with some of those times.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Like no one is safe out
Yeah,
here.
no one's
No
safe
one
out
is
here.
safe. That's good. That's good. So, speaking along that line, what is for someone who's starting out as well? What's the number one thing that you would say, hey, like if you're getting into kayak fishing or even tournament fishing, what's the one thing that beginners should not overthink when they're getting into it?
I think for me, it's truly like the leaderboard. I
Mm,
think when you're first getting into tournaments, of course, nobody's competing if they don't want to win. Naturally, if you have that competitive spirit, you want to do well and you push yourself to do that and you try to do well. But I feel like getting too hung up on doing the best stops you from learning the water in the best ways that you can to build on it. So some of my first goals were just like trying to catch a limit on a new body of water. Go in finding patterns, focus on patterns, even if it's not focusing on size, and just kind of build off of that, noticing different vegetation where you're being successful in some areas and where you're not, and taking notes on what your practice looks like and things like that, and just focus on learning more than you are trying to be the best at it compared to
mhm.
people who have been doing this for much longer than you. So it can kill your spirit if you're really focusing on where you're falling in line and comparing yourself to others. But if you're just using it as a tool to, learn the waters that you're having an opportunity to fish through these events, I think that's the best place to start.
Yeah, that's really well put. And speaking of those waters, so we've gotten to know you a little bit and walk through your journey and kind of now understand a little bit of your mindset. So tell us a little bit about those Florida waters that you're fishing. Are you mainly doing lakes or are you doing rivers as well? Do you ever do salt water? Where are you fishing like mostly?
Yeah, so mostly lakes for me. I've been on a couple rivers, and we even have an event on one river with Lakuchi River. We have an
Oh
event
yeah.
on. I've fished like Wakaira River before, just fun fishing. I actually probably need to get with you about river fishing some more because that's not a strength of mine. But yeah, mostly these popular Florida lakes, these bigger bodies of water. I do saltwater fish sometimes, but I haven't done
Mhm.
it from a kayak yet. That's hopefully
Okay.
something like over like winter break that I'll be doing. Hopefully early January, do some red fishing from the kayak. So that'll be really fun. I'm
Nice.
I really want to explore that a little bit more, but I think because bass fishing has gotten me into the sport in general, I always have a heart there. That's kind of home for me. But yeah, normally there's the freshwater lakes. The events that we have a lot of times have multiple lakes for you to choose from, like an area or a chain of them that are in a similar area. So you may have 4, 5, 6 different lakes that were kind of spread across depending on the size of the event. But yeah, there's an abundance of them here. There's lakes
Oh yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, there's water everywhere over there. If you just pull up like Google Maps, it's just water, 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 like canals,
Mhm.
rivers, springs, lakes, you name it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. I have to ask you though, like you guys got a lot going on in Florida. So how are the gators? I have to ask because I'm afraid of them.
People are always so concerned about the gators, and that's fair. I mean, you're looking at dinosaurs pretty much when you're
Yeah, yeah,
fishing. I see gators, I would say probably 80% of the time when I'm fishing.
can't do it.
Um, Almost every time that I'm on the kayak for sure. But they're very unbothered by you. They don't
Yeah,
really come close. The only time I've had a gator come close, I was fishing from the bank and they were coming after the fish.
okay.
At that point, cut your loss and just give them the fish if you have to. I'm not going to fight a gator over a fish, but other than that, a little noise, a little commotion, and they're going away from you. They don't come very close. There's been times I've fished in a river. It's been like a foot deep in some parts, and I go to paddle, and you look down, there's a gator head underneath you. It's
Yeah.
not something you get so comfortable to where you're careless about it. You still have to kind of be on alert, but they're not they're not like these menaces that are tormenting you on the water or that are really interfering with your fishing experience for the most part.
Yeah, I guess my my initial encounter was on Seminole
Mhm.
during duck hunting season. So
Oh.
there were guys firing like all morning long, so I had to go to another spot, and I didn't want to fish this spot because the wind was blowing into it, pushing me into the grass.
Mhm.
So my pedal drive got stuck in the grass, and I'm trying to get out, and I look down, and there's a giant, like, what, decent size, like 7, 8 foot gator
Mhm.
covered in sand. And I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I hate my life right now because I
Mhm.
was stuck. I had to like stick my hands in the water, get the pedal drive up. When I hit the motor, Kylie, that thing just like whipped its tail
Mhm.
and like took off under me and kind of like rocked me. And I was like, that's it. I'm done. Like
Yeah.
I'm done going home. And and right after that moment, I got stuck on like a, you guys have a lot of lakes out there with like stumps and trees and tree limbs up like in the surface. One of my scupper holes, like I got stuck on a tree limb right after.
Mm.
So some boaters had to come flag me down. So that is my first memory like with a gator. So
So your
that's
first gator encounter was a
yeah,
terrifying experience from what it
hor-
sounds.
horrible. I
Especially
mean,
one of that size. They're still intimidating, when you see them. In nothing to take lightly, but
yeah,
for the most part, they're unbothered by you. You're probably bothering them more than they're bothering you.
yeah.
But
Well, that's
worst
good to
comes to
know.
worst, it turns into gator hunting time if
Yeah,
you got a real bad run in with the gator.
yeah, yeah. I guess so. You're right. But shifting off the gators before I get traumatized. So talk to us about like what are some of your favorite lakes out there to fish, and tell us a few of like, because we've all, I think it's safe to say everyone's heard about Florida fishing. It's a different monster.
Mhm,
So that's another challenge that you're kind of growing into this sport with, is you've got all these things happening and you're in Florida.
mhm.
So tell us a little bit about some of your favorite fisheries, and what are some of the challenges that you've ran into, learning how to fish these areas?
Yeah, so I'll preface by saying there's still a lot of bodies of water that haven't touched in Florida, even
Mhm.
some really common ones. Lake Okeechobee would be one. So, like, that'll be my first time on Lake Okeechobee next month. But some of the ones that I really enjoy, like Harris Chain is a great lake that I enjoy fishing on. Lots of parts of the Kissimmee Chain that I think are great. Um, Toho, I've been on many times, so it's kind of just close and easy to get to. I really think there's a lot of the lakes are big enough too that you can like parts of the lake and really dislike others. Lake Marion was a lake I really enjoyed being
Mhm.
on. So there's a lot of them that are really good. It's just my favorite lakes, I feel like, have a variety of ways that you can approach fishing. So you're not limited to one method or one style of fishing because you can, move and try something different or try something a little deeper, you've got variety, but some of them that's not the case. It's also very challenging, especially in a season like right now. A lot of our lakes are very low, so they're shallow. So it's inconvenient sometimes to have these cool beastly setups because you have to run it
Yeah.
with the motor. You know, your pedal drive is going to get stuck. It's not convenient to paddle because it's so heavy. And that's sometimes a disadvantage. You're fishing in very heavy grass. Technology may not serve you in most of these areas because you don't have visibility to what's underneath you because it's so grass heavy and dense. So it's definitely a learning curve, but I think if you can get comfortable casting in uncomfortable areas, so like, you know, if you want to avoid not getting snagged all the time, you're probably not going to catch very many fish here. It's just like you have to get comfortable being in the thick of it. And then I think you can, you know, consistently catch fish in Florida, but it can be a challenge.
Let me ask you this. As far as like the lakes getting low right now, because I know you guys are already mostly in shallow water, right?
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
What's the deepest that you're fishing out there sometimes?
It really depends. So the deepest that I've seen this year was actually the lake that I was just on. I fished Crooked Lake this past weekend. There was parts of Crooked Lake that were like 20, 24 foot deep, which like we never see. For the most part, the average depth of a lot of where you're fishing is like 5, 6 foot for most of
Yeah.
those lakes. It's pretty shallow. I would say this was the first event that I had points that I was fishing that I could not use my shallow spike anchor to anchor
Wow.
me, and that's an
Yeah.
8 foot anchor. So almost the rest of the time I'm fishing within 8 foot of water. So yeah, they're really shallow. Sometimes you're fishing in inches of water, like it's super shallow.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
I
crazy.
don't know what you guys do because you can get on Lanier and have like
I
what do
mean,
you do in 50 foot, 100 foot? When we were on Seed Lake, remember
yeah,
when we were there? That's how I
yeah.
felt. I was like, what do I throw? Drop shot, shaky head. Like, what other options are there? I don't have a deep diving crankbait.
Well, I will say this about our lakes that I think a lot of people I think it's underrated, but like so what happens here, I was watching a professional do this the other day. Like he was up here and he was throwing like the smallest Ned rig and like the smallest, you know, compact jig and
Mhm.
he finessed that jig so much he like, you know, cut the ends of it. I mean, just all these different things. And it happened to be that I had been out there at the same time frame and he was like, you know, he was breaking it down. He's doing a good job, like because you can get on different bites here. But he was like, you know, you come out here, you know, the main game is offshore, and you're going to do this, and you're going to be very slow, and the water's at this temperature. And I was just watching. I was like, that's so interesting because, I mean, I was just catching a lot of good fish, in like 3 to 4 feet of water. If you have the conditions up here, um, those largemouth they will be shallow.
So you don't
The
have to go
spot
deep to get to them.
No, no, no. Well, I think what so our lakes up here, now that they're mainly spotted bass lakes, it's a huge like mind shift. I mean, it really, really messes people up because they're here fishing for largemouth,
Mhm.
but you can't approach spotted bass like that most of the times. But you know, for the spots up here this time of the year, what happens is that they're so grouped up that when you find them and they're fired up, you can have a really special day. And yeah, you could be in like 60, 70, 40 to 60, 70 feet of water. But I mean, once you get used to it, you're like, this is easy. Let me tell you what's a nightmare to me is when I go down to your area and I'm looking at my side imaging and it's just like spaghetti.
Oh,
And
you
it's
can't
just,
see anything.
I can't
No.
see anything. Right. And then, you know, I like, or I'll like throw my chatterbait and I'm just like grinding it through
Ripping
all,
it
yeah,
through. Mhm.
ripping it. Um, And so for me, like going down to your area, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all of this
Mhm.
grass? Like, what am I like? I'll never forget. Like, I think Seminole, I found some water that was like 30 feet and like not that much grass. I was like, finally, I finally, and I did well. I did well that tournament fishing a Nico and a
Oh,
drop shot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was like, finally, but I felt so out of place. It was so hard for me to figure out.
Yeah, it's
Um,
funny how you get used to different styles and conditions. I would just feel
yeah,
like, how do you know where fish would be if you don't have, like, I guess fishing in deeper water? I feel like you're more reliant on having some sort of technology to be able to show you suspended fish.
definitely. Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's where I would definitely have a gap not having that.
Yeah. No, but once and here's why I think it's easier over here. Like For example, in the summer here, if you run enough brush piles, you're gonna run into fish
Mhm.
because it's this massive lake, and then you'll have like a brush pile here and a brush pile there. But when I'm in Florida, I'm like, well, there's grass everywhere.
Everywhere.
They could be in any there's lily pads here, there's timber here. The timber has grass in it. There's this kind of grass over here. I'm like, they could be in any one of these like areas. But on
That's
Lanier,
hard.
I'm like, yeah, on Lanier, I'm like, that's a brush pile right there. They're gonna
Yeah.
be right there. I know they are. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it
you
is
know.
it is tricky because everything it's so hard. It's like a bittersweet because I'll get on lakes and everything looks juicy. Orange
Mhm.
Lake is an example.
Yes.
Everything on
Uh,
Orange Lake looks juicy. Like Cypress Lake looks like anywhere there could just be fish stacked up, and it's not the case. So it's a matter of figuring out how do you know how much time to put in this area or
mhm.
this area that looks identical. And I've fished some grass mats that I've caught nothing and caught five on another and they looked identical. So it can be tricky figuring out how to cover water when it all looks like there's possibility.
Yeah. So as you're learning and growing through all this, like what are like 2 to 3 things when you hit the water, as far as like the conditions go? Like what are you trying to pay attention to the most in Florida? Because your cold season is different. You're in shallower water, so that
Mhm.
means if you guys have a cold front rolling in, it shuts them down more. Like what are those 2 to 3 things right now that you're just like, okay, I really need to focus on this?
I think one thing that I always do when approaching water, just because there is so much grass here, is trying to find variety. Like if you're looking at a feet, like a whole stretch of lily pads, where does the lily pads meet something else? Does it
Mhm.
meet Kissimmee grass or, something else to where there's a mix of stuff? I will always focus there before I focus on something where there's just like one sole type of grass or, vegetation there. That helps me find fish a little bit better. I think too, with the colder months right now, I wish I could say it's really changed the bite a lot. It really hasn't. Like the same stuff that's been working a lot of times is still working. So it just hasn't been cold long enough. I mean,
Mhm.
like it was 72 today. Like it's not cold long enough to really force you to focus in one, style of fishing. You can still catch them
Right.
on top. You can still catch them, super slow and finesse. You can run something quick and so you have options. I feel like in Florida, you have like your five staple baits. And when people are recapping their day, you hear the same stuff. And it's a
That's
chatterbait,
yeah.
it's a speed
Yeah.
worm, it's a frog, it's a big easy. Like those are the big ones that you run through constantly. Cinco. And
Yeah.
everyone's thrown them.
That was gonna be my next question. For beginners, kayak fishing in Florida, what baits would you recommend? So there you go, guys. She just dropped it right there. Um, what about I think I saw recently that jerk baits are becoming more popular in Florida, especially with forward-facing sonar. How about that? Do you have any experience with those?
Yeah, I mean, I get more success on a jerk. I can catch them on a jerk bait. I think if anything, if I'm trying to go for mimicking that style, you're gonna reach for a fluke before you reach for like an actual
Yep.
hard body jerk bait, just because you don't have it's harder to fish through that stuff. You can't get through grass and stuff as easily, but with a fluke, you can fish it anyway. So that's another one that I think would be a great one. But you can definitely still catch them on a jerk bait. I know a friend of mine, she was just catching a lot of good ones on a jerk bait. So you can catch them there too. But ironically, my best time fishing on a jerkbait was fishing in Georgia. So
Where was that at?
on the Seed Lake, that's what I
Oh, on
caught them
Seed?
on that
Oh,
day.
okay, that's right, that's right. I was just making sure. I was just
Mhm.
making sure. Guys, for those of y'all listening, we got a mountain lake up here. It's kinda hard, but it's beautiful.
It was
Um,
very pretty, I will
yeah,
say.
yeah, we went there to shoot some content with Native, and, Kylie whooped my tail, on one of my home lakes, so that was awesome to see. But yeah, that place, um, I'm telling you, like, I feel like that place, the way you see it, like, wait, like, this is hard, like, I see Florida like that, like,
Mhm.
I don't know where to go. I've been confused down there so many times.
Yeah. Well, when you're here, you let me know. When I finally get up on one of your waters, I'll let you know too, because I will definitely need some help fishing in those types of areas. But are you doing any of the like Georgia Bass Nation events or anything? Because I know
Um,
there's one where Georgia and Florida Bass Nation were both going to be on Seminole.
Seminoles in January.
Mhm.
Yeah. I want to go. Are you going to
Mhm.
that one? Okay. I want to go. Right now I'm trying to figure out scheduling
Yeah.
between everything else going on and other trips and stuff like that. And then I'll be doing 4 out of the Bassmaster events.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
You're getting in
Yeah.
a good bit of those. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I've been trying to do it, but I mean, I'll be really honest to you and everybody listening. I'll be straightforward. Like, I haven't done more because I can't honestly go to my wife and be like, "Hey, I'm about to drop like, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 8 grand throughout the entire year on tournaments and maybe win a couple of $1,000 if I win a couple of
Maybe.
events." Like, yeah, I've placed in some local events, like cashed a couple of checks in the last 2 years, but it's you really gotta consistently be up there to make a profit. I mean, or, even 0 out.
Even break even. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
yeah,
sometimes I think to your best bet in actually making money off tournaments is staying local.
yeah, absolutely. There was, I can't remember what pro was saying that the other day, like, that's the biggest thing you can do is stay local,
Mhm.
get really good there, and then do a couple of big events where you're really comfortable and it's similar to what you're doing local. So yeah, I just couldn't go, and she never stopped me. She was like,
Sure,
"Go." And I was
yeah.
like, yeah, I was like, I can't do it. I was like, I can't. So what I've been doing is working on partnering with local businesses to sponsor the Bassmaster Trail. That's the
Smart.
direction I've been going in. So last year I got a couple for a couple events, and then this year I've managed to get some funding for those 4. So yeah, I'm pretty excited, and I may, I just missed the Lanier event here on Lanier like
It was last weekend, I think, right?
last weekend, yeah.
Mhm.
So that was tough, but we've been pretty busy with like content stuff and other stuff. So
Oh,
yeah,
trust
yeah,
me, I get it. I
yeah.
get it.
Well, tell us a little bit about that. So since we're already there, I mean, a lot of us that are in this space, we've seen some of the content that you do, and tell us a little bit about your journey on TikTok and why you think your content has done so well because it's been doing great. I was telling you earlier, you're great at communicating and speaking about like your kayak rig. Saw that awesome video the other day, and you're doing YouTube, which is listen, if YouTube is hard.
It is.
Talking about baits on YouTube for a 10-minute video, it's hard. It's tough. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? How's that been going?
Yeah, I started YouTube. That's been pretty recent, but
Yeah.
I do enjoy it a lot. The long form videos, I'll be honest, I am not a fan of editing them. If anything, that's what slows me down the most in posting on YouTube is because I just the time it takes to do that really takes a lot. So I feel like abundance wise, I'm probably focusing more on short form, but I enjoy breaking stuff down a little bit more in detail on YouTube. I think content's done well for a number of things. I think I try to be relatable as much as possible for people too. Like I've always been honest on, I feel like I know my stuff in some areas, but I'm more than happy to admit where I don't. And so I never want to come across in a way that I'm saying that what I'm saying is like end all be all because that's just never the case for fishing. I just know
Yeah.
people are receptive to some people more than they are others. So if I can give them another, platform to come to that maybe they hear me in a way that they haven't heard somebody else and it helps them, that's really all that I would want. I think I've felt so much positive change, so many benefits from being in fishing and enjoying it that I would love to see as many other people find it as possible and have some tools to do well with it because I can't say enough things about how it's helped me with, like mental health and just having an
Yeah.
outlet and just putting a spark of life back into, a time where I didn't have it. And I think it's just there's so many benefits to finding something that you enjoy that's outside too. So however I can foster that, I will. So YouTube is one that I've been doing, like the catching confidence, just to kind of break down some basics of bass fishing for, beginning people that are looking to learn about fishing. But yeah, I think just being relatable, being yourself on social media is the best that you can do. I think I enjoy talking about it, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to, sit down and break down something or break down the kayak or, I love it, so I can talk about it all day.
Yeah, and for people that are listening and maybe they did something that they'd like to do a little bit more. Do you have any advice for them as far as like getting started? Overcoming that awkwardness and that nervousness on the camera.
Um, I wish I had better advice other than actually, yeah, I do, because these are things that I specifically had to work through, still do sometimes.
Yeah.
One, I was such a perfectionist. I wanted to have these like well crafted, put together videos. I thought they had to be like top tier content in order to be worth putting out. Because I put so much pressure on this one video, I was putting out one video every 2 weeks or one video a week or something. I
Mm.
didn't have enough of them. And I would spend all this time on this one video and it would flop. And so I was like, what was it all for? So it was really just a matter of n- focusing less on making it perfect and just making it, period. So just post whatever you have is worth posting. Create it with what you have, with the resources that you currently have, and you can learn and develop and make it better along the way. So just like make it first, then make it better later, because otherwise you're going to keep yourself stuck in a place where you won't grow and won't learn because you're not doing it enough to build off of it. So that's one thing that I would encourage people, is just to not push for perfection, just push on, actually creating something and creating enough of it. With getting comfortable on camera, everybody has their own personality. I think people feel best when they're themselves. So just be yourself as much as possible. I think that's enough to kind of bring your own niche to the table and show your personality. And I think that'll help. I felt like sometimes when I look at my older videos, they sound a little scripted, whereas now they're, flow a little bit more. So you kind of just find your groove. So I still, though, I struggle sometimes being on camera, even as many times as I do it. It's never super comfortable. I ick myself out so much filming in public. I really do. And you just have to push past it.
Yeah. Yeah, it can get a little weird out there when you've
Yeah.
got like yeah, you've got boaters. That happened the other day. You've got boaters near you and you're sitting there like breaking down this moment and they're just kind of
Mhm.
just looking at you and you just got to wave and keep doing your thing and but you mentioned, I really like that you mentioned pressure earlier. So I get asked about social media stuff all the time and tournament stuff all the time because at the end of the day, a lot of people want to fish more or,
Mhm.
find that route for themselves. But you mentioned pressure and I've felt that same thing. So I wanted to ask you where do you think that pressure comes from?
I I really don't know, because there's when I think about performing well or doing well in this space, I can't think of anyone who is expecting me to achieve the level that I want to more than me. For example,
Mhm.
the brands and stuff that we work with, like you work with Native, like I work with Native and stuff too. They could not care less how I do in a tournament. They're not expecting me to bring home checks and cash checks in tournaments. That's not why they're,
Right.
partnered with me in any way. It has nothing to do with that. So I really think it just comes from within. Like it's just that you're putting the pressure on yourself, because I really can't think of anyone who is expecting me to do more than what I expect of myself. So it's like you're your own worst enemy sometimes, which I
Yeah.
think it can be good because that's fuel. It's going to push you to work hard for what you want, but at the same time, it's debilitating when you're constantly feeling like what you're doing is not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, we're getting a little bit deeper now, but I'm telling you, fishing I like to have these conversations because I know that for a lot of us, fishing goes beyond just like the superficial stuff.
Mhm,
It ties back to a lot of things for those of us that enjoy it. I mean, it is our escape after all. But like, it's so easy for me. It was so easy to mask that pressure as like, oh, the fishing industry is doing this to me. Like,
mhm,
it becomes easy to say they want me to be perfect or perform, and it's like, no, no, no. It's just me.
mhm.
It really is just me. Like, the fishing community, especially the kayak fishing community, and I think you could agree with this. Like, it's pretty tight knit and
Very,
it's pretty welcoming. Like, it's
very.
open the door to a lot of different people, compared to like boating. And as far as bass boats, and tournaments and those guys goes, nothing against them, but I've noticed it's completely different. It's
Mhm.
not the same. So it does come from within. But I think a lot of us just need to realize, like, the fishing community is pretty welcoming. It's pretty
Very.
pretty nice. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it is, and I would hope that people feel that way about me. Like I know even for you, and I'm so grateful, but I've come to you about lots of questions, and if it were not for like transparency from you and other people that have been in the industry, I don't know I don't know how I would be, doing certain
Yeah.
things. So I think everyone has been welcoming that's already a part of it. They want to see other people a part of it and see people win. Kayak fishing community, I agree with you completely. Super welcoming, very helpful, very kind and friendly. And people really enjoy to see other people do well, regardless of the fact that we're competing against each other. There's a general, respect amongst everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of welcoming, we touched on this a little bit earlier. Um, do you feel like, and again, it's so important that we have these conversations. So do you feel like the fishing industry is being more welcoming to women now?
Yeah, I think so now. I think there's a lot of even brands and companies that are really supportive of women in the industry. I think people are used to seeing more women in the industry, and there's a lot more that are involved in fishing that even what I realized when I got into it. And I'm glad to see that. At the end of the day, there's still a gap, like a significant gap between, the abundance of women that are fishing versus men. And I think, it's just years of, almost catching up to do. But I think a lot of at least all the men that I've experienced in the industry also want to see women do well. A lot of them have daughters that they would love to be able
Mm,
to have fish and have examples of people that are fishing, girls that are fishing and their high school teams and things like that. Like they love to see that because that's close to them and they want those opportunities to be there for people that are in their life or their kids or family and friends. So I will say I expected more resistance
mm,
as a woman coming into the industry than what I actually did. The only adversity and resistance I really feel like comes with it comes from the content social media side, from like audience, like you get keyboard warriors, those type of people that just want to
yeah.
are on the internet and want to put their opinions. But from the
Yeah.
industry itself, there haven't been that many instances that I've felt, you know, slighted in any way being, a girl that likes to fish. It's been pretty welcoming.
That's good.
Girls sometimes are harder
Oh,
to
yeah?
deal with in the industry because I
That's
feel like
that's not what it
sometimes
looks like.
I will say like
Uh,
a lot,
yeah,
at least with who I surround myself with, and that's by
yeah,
choice, is with other women who want to support and build other women.
yeah.
So I'm great. I've experienced some very great examples of that, but there also is this competitiveness of almost where I
Mm,
feel like naturally they feel like there's a limited spots for us.
okay.
So you're kind of always in competition for the couple spots that are available for women to be prevalent in the fishing industry. And that's just really not true. There's space for everyone. Like there could be 10, but we need 40, like, and just build upon it.
Yeah.
There's so much, there's still enough of a gap that I don't think there'll ever be a point where there's not room for another female angler to come into the game.
Yeah, yeah. I tell people all the time, the way life works, this is just a principle of life for me. There is always room at the table.
Hmm.
there's always room because someone's gift or someone's ability to create or fish or whatever will create that room,
Yep.
or it could be their personality or a combination of those things. There's always room. So yeah, for the guys, I mean, I know a lot of guys, a mixture of tournament anglers, a mixture of content creators. I mean, they are the most supportive people I've ever had in my life. Like we genuinely want to see each other when we like, hey, do you know this person over there? Absolutely. Or hey, what do you think about this? Or even in tournaments, I've had like guys who just do really well come up to me and be like, "Hey, you should throw this. This is how I'm catching them." And I'm like, "Dude, what do
Yep.
you like like,
Yeah.
what if I get lucky and beat you?" I mean, they genuinely don't care. I mean, we just all want I think we just all want to fish,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
do well. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
really
that's
all it
really
is. I've had
yeah.
them, a message beforehand from other people in the night before be like, "Hey, I don't know where you're planning to launch, but stay out of the south end. Like it's just a nightmare down there." Things like that that are
Yeah.
just I wouldn't know without having that extra bit of information from somebody. So, yeah, very helpful. People like to share amongst themselves and are not secretive about what they're doing either. No,
Yeah.
not as much gatekeeping, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and as we like, start to wrap everything up, and then I've got some rapid fire questions for you that
Sure.
that I want to throw at you. Um, I want to ask this. What is a potential misconception that, people, or maybe I could say men, or, just overall, that we have about women in the industry or in fishing that you would like to see disappear?
I think there's kind of two. One, I wish people would understand that there are a lot more women that are in it for the sport of fishing
Mm,
and not for the look of being a woman in fishing. Like, I'm not knocking how anybody gets their bag or what they do, but I think sometimes you can tell who's just trying to be a girl who fishes or versus someone who really has a love for the sport of fishing. And there's more of those that are in it for the sport than I think people realize. And just trying to prove that legitimacy can sometimes be frustrating of just trying to be perceived in a way that's like, I'm for real about this, I'm serious about this
yeah,
because I have, a heart for it. So just understanding that there's a lot more of us that appreciate the sport of fishing. I think too, a lot of women don't want a separate or easy path to getting to where men are. I'll give you an example. We talk about like who's going to be the first woman to hold a blue Bassmaster Elite trophy, and I think it's going to require a lot more saturation of women in the tournament industry. But a lot of the women that are tournament fishing don't want a women's tour to qualify them for that. Like we're
mm,
more than capable of doing well enough in the spaces that exist amongst everyone else to eventually get to that point. So, as hard as everyone else is working and as much as everyone else has to do and as much time that has to be put on the water as everyone else absolutely game for to get to it the exact same way that everyone has to. It doesn't require, a women specific area for us to earn our spots, I guess, in these levels.
yeah. That is really good, and I hope people are paying attention to that because that is a phenomenal point. Seriously, thank you for that.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Now we're gonna go into like some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
So the first one's gonna throw you off a little bit because
Okay.
you can't think too long. You gotta just be, first answer. And then
Okay.
the last two are like really simple.
Okay.
Really easy. All right, you ready?
Ready.
All right. Florida fishing. Is it overrated?
Overrated.
You gotta be honest. Yeah. Is it
No.
overrated? Okay. No. You heard it here, folks. Florida fishing is not overrated. It's absolutely worth it. Make the drive down, drive the 9-10 hours, get down there with the gators. All right.
Absolutely. If you want to catch fish, come to Florida, fish any body of water in Florida.
Ooh. Okay, let me ask you this real quick. A little sidetrack. Florida fishing or Texas fishing?
I haven't fished in Texas. I
Ooh.
will say, from what I know about Texas, I would still go Florida fishing because of the availability of places to fish. From what I know
Okay.
about Texas, you have your lakes that are known for like great ones, but there's also a lot of private water in Texas, from what I understand. So you
Yeah,
don't have
there's a
as
good
many
bit.
options of where to fish, whereas you can fish everywhere here. So
Yeah.
I would still
Yeah.
have to go Florida, but I don't know. I could get on Lake Fork one day and catch a giant, and maybe
They're growing
they're
giants down
getting
there.
big. I see them all
Yeah.
the time. I still really would love to fish out in Texas. That's definitely
Yeah.
a place that I want to get out to.
Yeah, we're trying to go this year, but we're going for the river series. So we probably wouldn't hit the lakes, but
Mhm.
it would still be a lot of fun. But anyways, all right. So last two are super easy. If you had one bait for the rest of your life in Florida, like all year long, what's that one bait gonna be? I think I have an idea.
I'm sure you could say what it is because I talk enough about it.
Is it a chatterbait?
It is a chatterbait.
Let's go.
I
Let's
would pick
go.
the Z-Man Baby Jack all day, all year
All day.
long. It stays tied on everywhere I go, pond, kayak, you name it. I can catch fish on it all year.
Color and weight. What's your favorite color and weight? And trailer.
Color, weight, trailer. I would say what I use the most of is probably Clearwater shad,
Okay.
3/8 ounce with a chatter shad in pearl from Z-Man. The the little chatter shad that's got like kind of the plastic
Yeah.
jointed tail.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
combo, perfect. Is great
Nice.
for me.
Why the baby jack and not a jackhammer or an Evo or
I think the jackhammer is great too. Like the baby jack for a couple reasons because that blade is smaller. It takes less water to get it to move. So you can fish it slower than you can some of the
Mm,
other bigger blades. So I like that. It still cuts through grass. I am a big advocate for downsizing can increase and change your day like night and
mhm.
day if you are just willing to downsize your bait sometimes to catch more fish. So I like a smaller profile in general. That's one reason. I still do use other forms of chatterbait, like the tungsten Evo. There's a time and a place where I'm going to throw the Evo over the baby jack. It just
Yeah.
really depends on what it is. But for the most part, I guess from what I've caught the most on would probably be the baby jack.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome. Yeah, I like the baby jack. I threw it a good bit this year, but I'm a little addicted to the Evo right now.
The Evo's good
Yeah.
too. Are you using
Yeah.
the elite Evo or the tungsten Evo?
I'm using the tungsten Evo.
Tungsten one, it's just
I,
so dense. I love that it falls right away.
yeah.
You can
Yeah.
fish it lower in the water column easy. You can cover water so quick. Those are the
Yeah.
times when I reach for it. When I'm trying to cover water quickly, when I'm trying to reach a little bit deeper point and keep it down there,
Yeah.
tungsten Evo for sure.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like I'm telling you, I've caught some giants on that thing this year. That just I know I've gotten better on the river too, so that has something to do with it. But it's just such a confidence thing for me right now.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Last question. Favorite snack on the water. Go to snack on the
that's
water
coming with me every time.
every
It's
time.
so probably so copy and paste, but they're just like goaded for this, and it's going to be an uncrustable.
I knew it.
They're the best. It takes
Yeah.
2 seconds to eat them. Like you're moving spots. Like because if especially in a tournament aspect, you have to think about time. I'm likely not going to stop fishing to sit down and eat a meal for 5-10 minutes. So you got to do it when you're on the move. And something quick like an uncrustable is just hearty. It tastes good. It's easy to bring.
Strawberry, watermelon, or I think there's honey
They
as
have
well.
watermelon. I
Not
think you're thinking of
watermelon.
raspberry,
Grape. No, no, raspberry. Yeah. Strawberry, raspberry, grape.
grape,
Which one? Which one are you going with?
strawberry.
Strawberry. Yeah. That's my go to strawberry.
Strawberry is my favorite.
Yeah.
But I have also been really enjoying, the Bear Bells protein bars.
Yeah. Yeah. Is
Ooh.
it? I think you can get them on Amazon.
You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at the gas station.
They're
There's a bunch of
really
them.
good. They're
So good.
really
The
good.
cookies and cream, those are like my go-to. Uncrustables, Bear Bells, cookies and cream. And
Yeah,
Alka
Alex
Seltzer.
Rudd. Alex Rudd put me on those, and that is so I've been in the fitness industry for about 10 years now, worked in
Mhm.
it for about, I think 4 or 5, and, I've never had a protein bar that tastes like that. So, guys, if you're listening, those are the goat snacks on the water, absolutely.
They absolutely
Yeah.
are.
But Kylie, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
I love what you're doing. I love how you're doing it, and how you're, representing um, fishing, not just for women, but for all of us. So thanks for being on the show. We appreciate you. And we talked about having a Florida panel coming up.
Yeah. Oh, if you do
Hopefully,
that, definitely count me in. I would love to
yeah,
do that. I think that would
yeah,
be great.
absolutely. I need to get you in here with these. We've got three other guys. Chris is one of them.
Chris
So
is a great dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got the group chat going because I really don't know them that well. So I reached out to them on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to have you back, have a little Florida panel because things really start heating up down there faster than everywhere else in the country. So we got to get on that.
They do. Well,
Yeah.
absolutely. Let me know. I'm more than happy to be a part of it. Thank you for having me on this time. It's been great to, talk through all this stuff. I appreciate it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Kylie. And as always, I will drop all of her information down below. Remember that we've got some great benefits for you with this Serious Angler Network. And as I mentioned, we've got some good episodes coming up. Listen, the Serious Angler Network has some awesome things coming up, guys. Head over to the latest podcast and listen to the good things that are on the way. Stay tuned. We've got some great episodes coming up because that fun fishing is right around the corner. It gets here faster than we think. I know it's winter, but the holidays are about to just blitz by. New Year's about to blitz by. And guess what? We're going to be in the spawn soon. So stay tuned. We've got some good stuff coming, and I'll see you on the next one. I hope you guys get to send it this week.